Greetings today. This is Rock O'Connor, and I'd like to reflect on the gospel for the sixth Sunday of Ordinary Time from chapter 6 in Luke. It's the story about the Sermon on the Plain. It's Jesus' response that parallels in some ways Matthew's Sermon on the Mount. What's interesting to me about this is Jesus had come down to stand on a stretch of level ground. A great crowd of his disciples, large number of them from all over the place, Judea, Jerusalem, the coastal region of Tyre and Sidon, came to him to be healed of their diseases. And even those who were tormented by unclean spirits were cured. Everyone in the crowd sought to touch him because power came forth from him and healed them all. Then why this gospel at this point? Why this sermon at this point? Because it seems to me, it seems provocative. It seems out of place. If power was going out of Jesus to heal all, why would he say this? Here's a couple thoughts, but I want to read the gospel first. And raising his eyes toward his disciples, he said, "Blessed are you who are poor, for the kingdom of God is yours. Blessed are you who are hungry now, for you will be satisfied. Blessed are you who are weeping, for you will laugh. Blessed are you when people hate you, when they exclude you and insult you and denounce your name as evil on account of the Son of Man. Rejoice and leap for joy. Behold, your reward will be great in heaven, for their ancestors treated the prophets in the same way." Here's a couple thoughts on this. Jesus addresses and blesses poverty, hunger, mourning, and the fear of being on the outside, of being not enough, and being insulted. Now, Ignatius in the Spiritual Exercises talked about the three basic temptations. It's about poverty, insults, and humility, to which we prefer riches, honor, and pride. What I see going on here is that Luke addresses what he perceives to be the most fundamental issue in the life of disciples, that of attachment, that of riches, of wealth. And here's the way I look at that. A couple things. In chapter 15, Jesus goes after, 16, Jesus, who is kind of mocked by the scribes and Pharisees, says it's referred to, Luke refers to the Pharisees as lovers of money, philarguria, lovers of silver. What is that about? It seems to me, at least my experience of this, is that I so despise my own poverty, my own emptiness, my own inadequacy, my own insufficiency to provide absolutely, certainly, and totally for my life, so that I am absolutely certainly and totally secure. So what Jesus does is bless those areas of life that terrify me. I don't know about you, but terrify me. Poor, poverty, hunger, sadness and mourning, being left out, excluded, and insulted. Now, what's interesting about especially the hunger part, I want to say something about that, because the first temptation after Jesus' baptism, after the descent of the Spirit, he's sent into the desert. into the wilderness there to be tempted. And it says he hungered. And the first temptation is our first temptation. The tempter comes to him and says, make this stone be bread. Actually, the Greek says, say that this stone is bread. It's not magic. It's the common human temptation to take something that is very good in itself, a stone, part of creation. It's a beautiful thing. But treat it as if it were something else. And so the picture is that in hunger, in emptiness, in this desperate wanting and needing, the temptation always is to make one thing be something else. And so say that this stone is bread. Make this be something nourishing, which it can never be. And so the obvious things are what? The compulsions that people face in life, and express them in ways of drugs, alcohol, sex, drugs, rock and roll, shopping, gambling, drinking, you name it. Rage is a common compulsion these days that tells us, that helps us pretend we're not hungry. And to receive Jesus' blessing of our hunger, of our poverty, and of our sadness and mourning about what we don't have and what we're afraid to lose, and about our insufficiency to absolutely provide for ourselves. He blesses that area. He blesses that area that at least I'm terrified to face. That becomes, I suggest, the area of the new encounter with Christ, the places we don't want to go. And here's the last thing I want to say. It's from me and Elvis. The places in myself that I despise, I put on others. So, when I don't receive the blessing of my poverty, I look at others who are poor and despise them. When I'm not able to be blessed by God in my hunger, I look at others who are hungry and avoid them and despise them and belittle them. When I look at others who are weeping, who are mourning for loss, I avoid them. I don't want to have my own loss provoked. And when people hate me and exclude me, I either try to rage against them and destroy them, or suck up to them so I don't get excluded or insulted. But Jesus blesses this precious yet terrible place in our lives. Whew, wow. Can we receive that blessing? Can we even fathom and hold our poverty, hunger, mourning, and terror just for a second, enough to say, please come and meet me here that I might receive your blessing, Lord. So there's a couple of heavy thoughts for today. God bless you during this Lenten season, but as I review the last Gospels of where we came from in ordinary time. Bye now.